Hello folks, gonna do this video about some MPC Dinosaurs Carded Sets. Now the two sets in the background there that are standing up, those are complete. They have the plastic bubbles and everything just like they were when they were new. And they're in pretty decent shape. Usually when you find these things, they're all beat up and the bubbles, if they're even on there, have holes in them, and the cards have pieces missing and all kind of condition issues, usually water damage and rotting or whatever. But these particular ones here are pretty decent. Anybody that's been trying to buy some of these things on eBay for the past few years or at toy shows or wherever, they know what I'm talking about with the condition on these things. Now the two cards that are laying down, they do not have the plastic bubbles on them. You can tell where the bubbles were torn off. It tore the paper because those things are glued on there. But I've got all the original dinosaurs. I have a big cache of MPC and Mark's dinos, and I just rebuilt the thing. I put the correct dinosaurs, correct color and all that on there. They originally came on the cards, so they're complete except for the plastic bubbles. So that's a real hurdle when it comes to trying to display these things. But technically you're not supposed to store these standing up because the cards get curled over time from the weight of, even as light as that stuff is, it makes the cards kind of curl a little bit, so they're best stored laying down. Now you could hang them up, I guess. They've got the punch holes, and they were originally rack toys, so you could hang them up if you got if you wanted to like put a tack in something and hang them up by the punch hole or whatever. You could do that, but I just store these flat, just to even if you just hang them up, though, I mean, eventually the gravity over time would pull the bubbles loose, I guess. If it didn't curl the card, it would at least, make the bubbles come loose. But enough of that. Let's get to what we're looking at here. Now, in 1961, MPC originally started to release their toy dinosaurs in this first series set right here. This is not from 1961, but it's these first series dinosaurs that were first released by MPC. And I have a video going over all the details about MPC dinosaurs, and I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. But if you want to learn all the ins and outs of that, you can check out that video. But this card is actually from 1967, probably. Even though, let me get this up to the camera here, even though it says 1964. Reason I can tell is because of that logo there. It's the Multiple Toy Makers logo, the stylized M with the two dots over it. They used that in 1967. In 1964, they had a different logo, but when they redid these cards, re-released these cards over the years after 1964, for like the next 3 or 4 years, they didn't change the cards, except for that logo. And oh yeah, this thing even has a price sticker. I'll bring that up here, show that up close. Save On, 89 cents. Wherever Save On was, it was probably a grocery store. These toys popularly sold in grocery stores back in the 60s and into the 70s. And also, dime stores and places like Kresge's and Woolworths and all that. But anyway, that is from 67. And I'll show you what I'm talking about with the logos. In 1964, when they first came out with this version of the card, when they first came out in '61, it was a different version of this card. They had a different name for it, like Dinosaur Dynasty or something like that. But in '64, they re-released it as Dinosaur Monsters, and with a 98-cent price tag and 873 as the item number. In 1964, the multiple MPC logo was that. It was square with a block M, and it said multiple toy makers. It's multiple products corporation, and in '64 they called it Multiple Products Incorporated, as you can see there. And you can see the date there, barely under that mummy's foot. This is an MPC Pop Top 2-pack from '64. And, you know, they gave their address and all that, but that's not important. I wanted to show you this logo here to show that this card is not from 1964. It's one of the updated ones from '67. And the reason I know it's from '67, pull out another MPC package toy here, this King Kong window box set. There is the logo from '67 with the M and the two dots. And this toy came out in '67, and there is the date on the packaging. 1967 Multiple Toy Makers. Now that's at a division of Laurel Corporation. The MPC changed hands over the years a lot, and it gets a little confusing trying to keep up with it. They were a division of Laurel, and then they were bought by Minor around 1969 or 70, I think. And anyway, it's just MPC for collectors, just to make it simple. We just call it MPC. And they rebranded themselves as Multiple Toy Makers early on, so that's another common name for them. By the way, if you want to see either of those two toys, I've got videos on the Pop Tops and a video, well, actually that King Kong window box set, I've gotten like 3 different videos, but there's a playlist on my channel called MPC Toys, so you can check that out, or just go through my videos or whatever. I've got all kind of toy videos and stuff. It's mostly monsters and dinosaurs. But anyway, a characteristic of this card was, and now in '64 when this card first came out, and it had that block M, you know, like the symbol, the logo, the branding, they divided the colors up of these. Now these are in mold groups, 4 to a mold group. And they divided the colors up 2 per color. In other words, of the 4, they split, and 2 of them were of one color and 2 of them were of another color. But in '67 onward, they just went with all 4 of the same color. So you can tell what the mold groups are just by looking at this packaging here. You know, you had the Allosaurus mold group, those are in blue there. The Tyrannosaurus mold group, those are in the silver. And I guess that's I think they usually designate that by the Dimetrodon mold group. That's in the red. Those are common colors for those figures. For MPC Dinosaurs, there are no premium figures like there were for Marks. The only premium colors that they did for MPC were of the serial premiums. They had different colors and different shades of some of the same colors, and I go over all that in my MPC Dinosaurs video, so check that out if you're curious about all that. I just wanted to focus on the carded sets for this one, for this video. Now, the reason I've got these 2 on the table here without the bubbles on them is because I bid on an eBay auction several years ago. I guess it's probably been like 15 years now. And I got it for, you know, just next to nothing, really. Some seller had 4 of the backer cards that they were, you know, trying to auction off on eBay. And I probably got it for like 12 or 15 bucks or what. I don't remember. It was something really low. And these are 2 of those. And I'm really glad to have that one in particular, the prehistoric monster mammals. Because I had a lot of these as a kid, you know. And I'd rip through that packaging, and you know, it'd go in the trash. But the packaging is what sold it. The packaging especially for MPC toys, is some of the best part of it, you know. The dinosaurs, now it's true, the MPC dinosaurs, they did have 5 original figures, and they're very well sculpted. And those 5 original figures are the direwolf, the ceratogallus, the glyptodon, the macrauchenia, and let's see, what was the other one here? Macrauchenia. Oh yeah, the diatrima, the big carnivorous bird. Those are the 5. And they're very well sculpted. And these others on this second series, this is called the second series, these prehistoric monsters, mammals. And these are very well, you know, the whole thing is nicely done. Uh, the 7 of these figures are knockoffs of Mark's figures, but those 5 are original. Now, the first series MPC dinos, which are that card and that card, really this is just a duplicate of that. It's just a different card because it doesn't have those dots over, and I'll explain that in a second. But this is the first ones that they made, the first 12, and they are generally inferior to Mark's. They're Mark's knockoffs. They're still fun, you know, for people that grew up playing with these as a kid and all that, you know, I mean, they're great. But they just don't have the quality the Mark's figures did. And I'll explain about these two laying down about this logo here. When this came after this is 67, even though it says 64 on the card, it's 67. They just didn't update the date on that. And it does not say a division of Laurel like it did on that King Kong window box set. So I'm thinking this is, I don't know if they did that on all their packaging at that time or whatever, but this came after this, and it's either in 67 or 68 probably, or, you know, like late 67, early 68. Could be 69. Maybe it's up into 69, and they just didn't put that division of Laurel on these carded sets like they did that window box King Kong set. But anyway, the lack of those 2 dots on these, they tell me that this is probably 68, perhaps 69, that these came out. And I'm going to take this camera off of here so you can get a better look. I'm going to show these dinos real quick, the sculpts. There's a look at that great header card. I mean, the packaging sold these, man. Kids love this stuff, and collectors still love it. And now the number on this one is really 838. It's torn off there because when whoever tore the thing open, and you know, to get the plastic bubbles off to get to the dinos, that tore up into that info. But that's 838 is the number of that, just as 873 is the number of the dinosaur monsters. And even though it says 64, it's not 64, it's probably 68 or around in there, give or take a year. And you know, these are great figures, man. I mean, now the colors, the metallic blue is the common color for these 4: the Megatherium, Macrauchenia, woolly mammoth, and Parasaurolophus. And that is the only mold group that featured the metallic blue color. The others are in red and gray, and usually this diatrima group, which is these 4, Styracosaurus, Moschops, Smilodon, diatrima, usually those are in regular blue. But I went with gray when I was filling out, you know, the ones that go in this. Made sure they matched and all that, but I went with gray just for good contrast here. And I'm sure some of them were in gray. I mean, it varied a little bit, you know. But commonly they were in the blue, just like these. Not metallic blue, but just regular blue. And here again, this card is just a duplicate of that one, except you can tell by the logo. This came out in 67. This is probably 68 or 69 because there's no dots over the M. Now, in 1970, or perhaps as early as late 69, they changed the packaging on these carded sets. This one is of the first series, and it's called, underneath this sticker here, it's called Prehistoric Dinosaurs. I can, you can still see some of the orange there. And it's cool illustration and all that. I don't think it's as cool as the original one from, before it in the 60s, but it's cool looking. And, it's the same first series dinos. Now, this particular one is, I've never seen another one like this one. I bought this from an eBay seller because I'm a big Hammer horror fan and I love dinosaurs. And this actually is advertising a Hammer movie from 1971 called Creatures the World Forgot. And even though that movie does not have any real dinosaurs in it, it has cave people in it, and hot cave girls, and nudity, and that was the selling point back then. It was like a continuation of, it started in 66 with 1 million years BC with Raquel Welch. Then in 69, or no, I think it's 70, they came out with When Dinosaurs Rule the Earth with Victoria Vetri. And then in 71, they continued that on, albeit very cheaply. The budgets were getting really bad by that time. So they couldn't afford dinosaur special effects, so they got, that one starred Julie Ege. But basically it was, cave people against cave people with some animals and stuff like that. But anyway, this evidently is a promotional piece. Some theater owner had these stickers printed up, I guess, and sent some gopher out to buy whatever dinosaur sets were cheap and at the local stores at that time, and bought a bunch of them up for $1 a piece or whatever, and stuck these on here. And I don't know the promotion. I don't know where it happened. I don't know if it was a drive-in or an indoor theater, or if it was just regional or wider than that, or it was just one theater or what. But evidently this is a promotional piece, because I mean, it kind of looks like a bumper sticker, but I never heard of Hammer advertising using bumper stickers like that. And it fits perfectly, just about. Of course, they could have cut it to fit perfectly over the header part of this card, but still, it leads me to believe that this is a legitimate promotional giveaway for a showing of Creatures the World Forgot in 1971. And so that's the deal with that. I don't know if another one of those even exists anymore, or if, how many of those were made or anything about it. That's just, it was a real curiosity. It's two things I love. It's a carded MPC Dinosaur set, if nothing else, which is kind of a big deal these days. So I had to grab it. And we're going to take a look at these individual dinosaurs here real quick. Now, I showed all these in my MPC Dinosaurs video. This is a Parasaurolophus in metallic blue. Woolly Mammoth in the metallic blue. And like I said, there's no premium colors for MPC. None of them are more valuable than the others because of color, except for those serial premiums. And I go into all that in my video about MPC Dinosaurs, which will be linked in the description. This is Macrauchenia in metallic blue. Styracosaurus in the gray. Ceratogalus. It's like a horned rodent. And I used a bunch of these guys in a custom play set that I made for, called the Haunted Graveyard play set. I did a couple videos on that. You can check that out if you're interested in monster toys and monster play sets. This is a Glyptodon. Spike tail. It's another one of the unique to MPC pieces. Here's a dire wolf. I used a bunch of these in that custom monster playset as well. Kind of standing for giant wolves that the vampire could command. Here is the diatrima. And here's the moss chops. I have no idea what the value of these cards would be with just the dinosaurs and the backing cards without the bubbles glued on them. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't matter. I'm not selling any of this, but I'd say that still, you know, they could fetch some money because it's all there. It's just the bubbles missing. You're kind of limited about how you could display it. Here's the Smilodon. Of course, these are more safely stored flat, so you're not missing out on much displayability here. The cards are the big deal, getting the you know, the cards in nice shape. And I'll show these real quick. This is the first series. Here's the Allosaurus in blue, Triceratops in the blue, Plateosaurus in red. Now what I do is just leave these in bags and keep all this in a box and stack up these cards in the bottom of the box. This is a Trachodon in silver. Silver is not a premium color for MPC dinosaurs like it is for Marks. Silver MPC dinosaurs shouldn't sell for any more than non-silver MPC dinosaurs. You see all kind of prices. Usually you just see this stuff on eBay. You hardly ever see them at toy shows or toy stores or anything like that, like collectible shops or whatever. Here's the Pteranodon in red. But you know, if you buy these things in lots, you can build a pretty good collection of them pretty cheap. In general, even these days, as high as things are, you can get them for $1 or $2 a piece in lots if you work it right, if you're patient and you wait for the right deal. And there's the Cynognathus in red, Brontosaurus in silver. If you buy them individually, a lot of people on eBay try to sell these individually, and you could be expected to pay $8, $10, $12, $15 a piece for some of them. Don't do it. They're not worth it. The serial premiums in the special colors are worth a lot more than the regular MPC dinosaurs, but even they're not worth. I mean, I wouldn't give over $10 a piece for any of those. There's a Stegosaurus in the blue. Okay, so that pretty much covers what I wanted to show here with these carded sets. A lot of collectors are after these, and you don't see many of them these days come up. Usually when you see a carded set of dinosaurs come up, it's the MPC knockoffs, the J-Ru or Tai Sang or whatever, you know, the ones that made in China. A lot of them are painted, but they're inferior to the original MPC, which aren't as good as original Marks. And those are the carded sets you usually see come up. And even they are usually have all kind of condition issues, and people still want $75 for them or 100 or whatever. So, you know, just be careful how you spend your money on this stuff. It doesn't come up often anymore. You don't see much of this stuff come up for sale anymore. So, you know, it should command a decent price, but don't give a whole lot for knockoffs. And for loose MPC dinosaurs, don't give a lot of money for them. You can get them fairly cheap still. I mean, that stuff is so plentiful still. They made so many of them. So anyway, those are my carded sets of MPC dinosaurs, and a little bit about the history of them, and the logos, and you know what tips you off to when they actually came out. Can't always go by dates on packages. And Hope some of you got a kick out of that and maybe learned a couple things. If anybody has any further information on this, let me know, because I'm always learning too. Everybody's constantly learning. When you quit learning, forget it. You're done. So that's the fun of life, still learning things. So school me if you can, tell me what's going on. If I'm wrong about something, let me know about it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm out of here.